for a few minutes, and they'll develop a crust on the outside of the gnocchi, which allows you then to turn them over without them sticking to the pan. Our pear sauce has been cooking now for about 25 minutes. Now the pears haven't broken down, so I'm just going to get a potato masher and mash them. Because we're mashing these pears, this is why it doesn't really matter how coarsely they're cut. Then we have a pearish sauce. Right, once the gnocchi have reached a nice golden stage, just turn them over one at a time. Easiest way is just to loosen them up. Run your, in this case, a little scraper underneath them all, just to loosen them up. And then just give them a wee toss. Now as you can see, the longer you leave them, the more golden they get. This is again a good reason to cook on a lower heat. It gives you more control and you're less likely to get things burning. Now with these gnocchi, they're also excellent as a main course. We're just having them as a starter today. Now once these are golden, again on the other side, put a small amount of butter. Now this just brings up sort of a nutty flavour to it. Gives it a nice glaze of colour and promotes a bit more golden colour amongst the gnocchi. Right, and you can see now this has had a few minutes to cook and the gnocchi are absolutely lovely and golden. We're then just going to transfer them to this cloth, towel, to stop some of the oil. So we've now got our hot gnocchi and we're just going to assemble the starter. We're going to put a small amount of washed rocket on the bottom of each plate and then just quickly, I'm going to use my hands because it's the quickest way of doing it. You want these to eat these when they're nice and hot. Now we have our tomato petals from earlier, just scatter a few on. Then put a little bit more rocket, some shaved Parmesan cheese, and a bit more gnocchi just to top it off. Now this is quite a generous portion because these are quite filling. A little bit of olive oil just to dress it. And we're done. Okay guys, on you go. Hope you enjoy.
That's really, really good.
So we just had our gnocchi. It was absolutely, I'm really quite pleased the way it's turned out. So now we've got to cook our chicken for our main course. Same pan, hot, you can see the smoke coming off it. And we're going to put our chicken in it, skin side down. Now if you've got no skin, just do it the same method. And onto that we then season it. So sprinkle each one with a little bit of salt and a bit of pepper. Now the easiest way of telling whether or not something's cooked when you're frying it in a pan is the protein will change as you cook it. So when the chicken is about halfway cooked, we'll then turn it over. Onto the back of the stove, we've got a small pot here that's heating up. We'll put some butter into this. This is for our cabbage. Put some butter into the pan and then put our cabbage into the pan as well. We're just going to cook that until the volume of the cabbage is reduced by about a third. Now that our cabbage is sweated a little bit in that butter, we're going to add a little bit of white wine. It's around about 3 to 4 tablespoons. You can tell that the steam is generated now by that. That will just allow the cabbage to cook quickly and with flavour. Now you can see with the chicken how the colour's begun to change around the thinner parts of it. What we're wanting to do with the cooking is when the colour comes about half to 2/3 up on the thick end, we'll then turn it over and cook it until the colour line meets up in the middle. Now once the white wine is reduced off the cabbage, We're going to add a little bit of the vegetable stock to it. It's around about 100 mils. And we'll simply cook that until it's evaporated. I'm going to return the parsnips that we cooked earlier to the oven now so that they become nice and golden and crisp. Once the white wine's reduced off the cabbage, we'll add the remaining vegetable stock and cook it until it's evaporated. Now you can see with the chicken that the colour has changed quite drastically. You know, it's quite pink at the top and it's quite white down at the sides. So all we're going to do now is turn it over. You can see how golden that is. And then cook it again. I'd say for about 5 minutes, casually 5 minutes, until the line of the chicken will have cooked from through the other side. The parsnips are back in the oven. Because we cooked the beetroot earlier, we then have to make sure that we've had it reheated for the time it comes to serve. We don't need to do that in the pot, you can do that in the microwave if you like. You also need to make sure that your sauce is brought back up to a nice hot temperature, because with a hot meal, you like a nice hot sauce. So that's our chicken cooked. We'll just take it across the chopping board and let it set for a few minutes. In the meantime, we'll get our parsnips from the oven, heat the beetroot up, I've got that heating now, and make sure my sauce is hot. We'll then put things onto plates. Start with a spoonful of cabbage in the middle, beetroot relish to one side of it, and 2 or 3 of the parsnips. We'll then carve the chicken just to make sure it's cooked. So you always just cut through the thick end, just one cut, and you want to make sure that there's no pink residue whatsoever left in that chicken. Set that on top of your vegetables, and then we'll just sauce over the top with this lovely bacon and onion sauce. So there we have our chicken with Savoy cabbage, a beetroot relish, parsnips and a bacon and onion sauce. Now before we dig into this, we're going to put our desserts into the oven. They need to cook for around about 10 minutes. So we'll put them in now, so by the time we finish our main course, our desserts will be ready. Now you can see that these have set up completely, as opposed to the liquid that we had earlier. It's quite important that this happens so that they don't cook all the way through to the center where the melted chocolate is. Otherwise they just go tits up basically. Of course guys, please dig in, feel free. No, I never put them on the plate, I was just leaving them aside so people can help themselves. Because I don't eat a lot, I mean this is a big enough meal for me.
That's beautiful. Chicken's really succulent.
The beetroot is so nice.
So we'll take our desserts out of the oven. You can tell that they've risen quite heavily. They've got a crust on them. Right, we'll let these cool down just a few minutes so that we can actually so I can actually hold them. In the meantime, I'll put some whipped cream on the plate. I've whipped this earlier, just with a little bit of sugar in it. A bit of this pear sauce. When I say sauce, it's more of a compote, but now these were about in the oven for around about 12 minutes. You could probably cook them for a little bit longer if you'd like, but to be honest, yeah. Now the secret to these is, if you cut into them with a fork, they should just goo. And remember, this is filthy, filthy hot. They're really, really hot, and we don't want you to burn yourselves.
That's good.
We'll take the risk. Hot, 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 hot.
Right, we know. Absolutely one of the most amazing puddings I've ever had.
It really is very good.
I hope you have seen something here today that you'd like to try and recreate. And I hope I've given you the information that you can do this in your house. It's not that hard. Take your time, be patient, and to be honest, try cooking on a lower temperature. It will take you longer, but you've got more control of your food. Hopefully it will taste a bit better.